Good evening, everybody, and welcome to, once again, your Monday night. It's JT on the camera with you. You know what that means. Adventure Pretenders is back once again. I've got the geek Sully coming along with me as well. Of course, he's actually leading the train, I guess you could say. Tonight, we start a new series, Daredevil Born Again. Tonight, we're going to review episode number 1. So, do me a favor. Grab whatever it is you want to drink or your favorite adult beverage, something to munch on. Sit back in that beanbag chair and hold on because it's going to be one hell of a ride. Sully, it's all yours.
Oh, why, thank you, sir. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adventure Pretenders. Yes, I am the geek. He is the redneck, and that's okay, because that's how we roll. That's right.
Very bumpily.
Very bumpily all the time. All the time, all the time, which is good. It's a good thing.
We'd be bored if we didn't, if it wasn't like that.
It would be what?
It would be boring if it wasn't like that.
You know what? You're probably right. It would be a little boring, but yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I really am. I'm all for it.
The Daredevil is back, huh?
Daredevil is back. Yes.
Last time I remember seeing him was around the time that Kingpin caught a bullet to the face.
Which, if you remember, was not just in Hawkeye, but Echo as well.
Mm-hmm. Echo, that's the one I couldn't think. I couldn't think of the name of it.
Oh yeah, she was definitely Echo because she was the one that did all the shooting.
Yeah, she's the one that put the bullet in Kingpin's face.
So for those that aren't familiar, what rock have you been under? Number 1. Number 2, I'm glad they're keeping this with a mature rating.
Right.
Especially on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Yay.
TVMA for bad language and violence.
Yes. Well, yeah. So just before we get down into the nitty gritty of episode 1, because we are going to do each episode separate. We have to. These episodes were just too long. The fact is this. You don't technically need to watch the 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, which is now on Disney Plus. Technically. Does it help? Yes. Yes, it does. JT,
Would it be a thing where you could like just watch season 3, maybe?
No.
No? Okay.
No, only because you tend to understand where we're leaving off with this one. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. But again, you don't have to. What you do need to watch is the episodes of She-Hulk with Daredevil. And you also need to watch
I forgot.
Echo.
She fought Daredevil and She-Hulk.
Yes, she did. Now, supposedly this takes place after She-Hulk and after Echo. How true is that? I'm not 100% sure. I'm really not. I wish I was, but
well, yeah,
alas.
because I mean, at the very beginning of it, Kingpin and his wife, or Fisk and his wife.
I'm dropping stuff. Sorry. Dropping things.
They have a small discussion about, his time recovering.
Well, and that he vanished.
Yeah, and that he just disappeared all of a sudden.
It's true.
I think her exact words were, "You disappeared from the bed that I sat by."
Yes.
Something along those lines.
Which, for her, again, this takes place after Echo. At least it's after Echo. Which makes sense, because Echo shot him in the face during Hawkeye.
Can we just say that one more time? Because I really want to emphasize the fact that he got shot in the face.
Yes, he got shot in the face. And again, for those that aren't familiar, we're talking about Daredevil Born Again. This is episode 1. We're bringing you up to speed. So I would say if you're going to watch them, you definitely need to watch Hawkeye because you need to know what Wilson Fisk was up to. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, you need to watch Echo because he was a main role in Echo.
And it also shows a lot of what he was up to.
Yes. And then, obviously, you really just have to watch the, what was it? The main episodes of She-Hulk with Daredevil in it.
Right.
Then you're pretty much brought up to speed. All right. Now, in this episode, and I got to get, for some reason, I'm in a full screen mode and I shouldn't be. Oh, lovely. I can't access anything, JT.
That's not good.
I don't know what I hit. Ah, frickin' hell.
All right. From taking a quick look.
I think I put OBS into full screen mode and I didn't mean to.
Oopsie. From the look of it, though, there is only one episode in She-Hulk.
Yes.
Where Daredevil appears. It is episode 8.
Yes.
Titled Ribbit and Rip It.
Yep. Ribbit and Rip It. That's right. I made a chat bot for that, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Somewhere.
It says he also appeared in Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021.
Matthew Cox did as Matt Murdock.
As Daredevil.
Yes.
Right.
So you don't really need to watch that so much just because it was just a cameo role and it was him being his defense attorney. That's it. So, right. Yeah, even with that, it was, hey, I'm a really good lawyer, that type of thing. So you don't have to really worry about Spider-Man pertaining to that. Okay.
Right. Well, it was as a sub note on there.
Yes.
So I threw it out there.
So from there, I would say if you want the full origin story of the Marvel MCU Daredevil, go back and watch all 3 seasons of Daredevil. And they are phenomenal, by the way. Phenomenal. The first 2 episodes, you start off slow. And I'm not going to lie, this episode started off slow to an extent.
But it kind of had to.
Yes. You're bringing everybody back into the world of Hell's Kitchen. And Daredevil, Foggy, Karen, Kingpin, and new faces. We're seeing some new faces, okay?
Right.
So when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of Daredevil, now mind you, he's the man without fear. If you don't know he's blind by now, we got some issues. I'm really happy that the first episode, they did not shy away from him already being an established character, just like in the Netflix series, okay? So I'm glad that they didn't go, nope, we're going to completely retool this and make it part of a different timeline. No, I did not get that from this episode at all, okay? We do see in some hidden, some background footage, them introducing White Tiger. White Tiger is a superhero in the MCU.
That was just like a quick glimpse of him, though.
Yeah, there really wasn't much to White Tiger for this episode anyway. Episode 2, that's a different story. Okay?
Oh, really? Okay.
That is a different story.
Well, yeah, because as we find out later in the episode, I guess a way I could put it without really giving it away till we go and talk about it is they kind of are going to go after vigilantes.
Yes. But that was his whole, and we'll get there. We will get there. I don't think we're going to do like what we have done in the past. I think a good conversation, like I don't want to say a free ball conversation because it's really not a free ball conversation. Right. I don't think we need to go into the details of each and every scene. You know?
No. I liked how they started out the episode though, because correct me if I'm wrong, but they start out on the streets of New York.
Well, yeah, you have to. It's New York.
You've got. I can't. Why is it that my brain is not bringing up Daredevil's regular name?
Matt Murdock.
Murdock. Yeah. You got Murdock and Foggy and the lady.
Yes.
Walking Karen down the street talk.
Karen.
Her
name is Karen.
You know me, I'm terrible with names.
It's okay. I got you.
But they're walking down the street and they're having a conversation, you know, and this talking about this and that and the other thing, and they end up in a bar. Imagine that. You're walking down the street in New York, you end up in a bar.
So that bar plays a very big significance.
Okay.
Especially in the MCU and in Hell's Kitchen.
Okay. So what's the name of the bar?
Josie's.
Mm-hmm. Like, they had a vacation far away. That kind of Josie?
Yeah, that kind of one.
Sorry. You know me, dude. I hear a phrase or I hear a word and I go.
It's all good.
And I'm, you know.
It's all good. Trust me.
It's the musician in me.
It's all good, my friend. All good. Now, with this episode, this takes place years after pretty much everything that has happened in the MCU. From the Netflix series, Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson have now gone from a hole-in-the-wall office to like an actual established law firm of Murdock, Nelson, and Page. Now, Karen is not a lawyer. She's an investigator. Okay?
Yeah, the initial impression that I got was that she was a cop.
That she was what?
I don't know. The impression that I got was just from the way that they were talking and everything. It seemed to me like she was a cop. But investigator makes just as much sense.
Kind of, but not really. She used to do this is where the first 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix come in.
Okay.
Because, you know, obviously she is a part of the Marvel Comics. She does a lot of investigative reporting undercover. Okay. So for her in the comics, she was a journalist. Okay. So in Netflix, she was a journalist too. She was part of the New York Bulletin, which did competition with the, what the hell is it called? Freaking hell. The one that always, damn it. I can't remember the name of the freaking paper.
Freeze, folks. It is funny to watch when he has brain freeze.
It's the one Jonah Jameson has.
What, the newspaper? The Daily Planet?
There it is. Daily Planet. No, that's not the Daily Planet.
The dumbass redneck could remember that.
You couldn't. No, Daily Planet was Superman. Daily Bugle. Is Spider-Man. So I'm like, wait a minute.
Led you the right way.
You did. You brought me back down that path. Okay. So they do. It's kind of like the New York Post and Daily News and Newsday. You know, it does that competition. They can't use those in Marvel, so they had to create their own. So you have the Daily Bugle, and then you have the New York Bulletin. Okay, and when she joined the Bulletin, she was writing all about Frank Castle / the Punisher. Okay. Which we will see in season 1. we will see him, which is good. So for all you nerds out there, here we are. We're going old school nerd, right? The thing with this, and I want to say hi to Nicole, who just joined in via TikTok. Hello, how are you, darling?
I know you can't see me, but hi.
JT says hi too, and we're talking geek, so stick around. Geek is fun, especially at our age. We just don't give a shit. So yeah,
pretty much. It's a Generation X thing.
I don't know why some comments were just filtered. That's weird. How do I check that? I need to figure out how to check that all the time. So, whoever commented and, filtered that out, I don't know. Send something else, clean it up, I guess. I don't know. So that's Karen's background. She was one of the main characters that was pretty much on the hunt. She was kidnapped by Frank Castle. She was doing research on him. Finding investigative reporting was her niche. And then became, obviously she was friends with Foggy and Murdoch. So, yay. Okay. There is, however, in this series, Nicole says it was just me with a sad face. I said, hi. Hello, darling. Hello. Sorry it filtered your comments out. I don't know why they do that. I really don't. However, if you would like to...
Big Tank, who is in the chat room with us here on Accidental Punch, and he says, now, am I the only one, when listening to the theme of Daredevil, expect Ashes by Celine from Deadpool 2?
No.
From Deadpool 2.
No, you're not the only one, my friend. You're not the only one. That's a good one, though. I like that one. But that was the other thing. So that's the background, at least summing it up for JT, is that Karen is the investigator. Foggy and Matt Murdock are the lawyers. Okay, so their firm is their firm. She's the on the books investigator. As they're walking down the street, you're seeing the camaraderie between them all, because they're friends. Yes, they're coworkers, but it's a small little law office that they're it. That's it. So they go to Josie's to hang out at the end of the day. Why not? They don't have anything else to do. Let's have a drink.
They're actually going there for a retirement party.
Yes.
For was it Cappy?
Yep. Who is retiring from the police department. Yay. After, I think it was 30-something years, I think he was a part something of the police force down there in the precinct. I think it was the 29th precinct is down in that part of town in Hell's Kitchen. And that's the other thing I like about Marvel, is they try to keep everything as real as possible and show real world references, because these characters are in the real world. That's how they like to do this. Big Tank says, wasn't Karen originally their secretary before she got into investigation? Yes, in season 2, they hired her as a secretary, but that's when she started doing the investigation on Frank Castle. And that's how she got into investigating. That's how she became a part of the firm later on after. So we've already got that firm established. Now, as I said before, this episode started off to an extent slow.
Yeah. But again, this is a necessary slow.
Very necessary. And I don't want to say that the whole episode was slow, but...
Well, and here's the thing. The beginning was slow, but it wasn't boring.
No, definitely not boring.
Thing.
Definitely not boring. And the thing about this episode was you had an establishing timeline that you needed to kind of cram in very quickly, but also make sure that you're not keeping anything out from the seasons before, which is why it's Daredevil Born Again. And that's where all hell starts breaking loose, because Foggy gets a call from a client of theirs that he has stashed away or hidden. So he'd be safe because he felt people were after him. Makes sense. It happens from time to time, especially in the world of crime. Big Tank says, see, all opposite of the press. They all hated the new Daredevil. They don't understand it. They don't understand Daredevil. Okay? I'm flat right. Listen, between Matthew Cox and Ben Affleck, Matthew Cox is the best Matt Murdock / Daredevil out there right now. Ben Affleck? Maybe just a little, I don't know. I will never take what the press says about any TV show or movie to heart. Only because most of the time they are wrong. And they don't, like, the people that are watching this are not comic book people. They're, quote, the critics of this society these days.
Big Tank says, I absolutely agree with you. The press needs to stay out of the world of comics.
Unless, of course, you have somebody like me or JT who is an outside source who is most recently doing very well with understanding the geek culture. I mean, seriously, JT, you've come a long way when you and I first started co-hosting shows together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I had no choice.
It's true. You had no choice. Want to say hi to Meg on TikTok. Hello, my dear. Love you. Hello. Miss you. We're talking about Daredevil Born Again, episode 1. This whole beginning scene in the bar of Josie's was absolutely phenomenal. It was phenomenal because we see lawyers and police officers all in this bar. They're all celebrating the retirement of one of their own. Foggy gets a call from a client. That call makes him go outside, and Matt, with his supersonic hearing, which is amazing, by the way, how he can just focus in on one character's conversation. Obviously, he only hears one side at first, but then he focuses a little bit more, and you can hear what that character is saying. And even Matt was like, we got to go. Something's wrong. And that's when Foggy starts telling him about the client of theirs that they represent, that he has hidden in Foggy's own apartment, saying something's wrong. People think he's after him. He's not answering his phone. The whole 9 yards. So Matt gets into his daredevil gear and goes after the guy to save him. Now this, by far, as Big Tank just said it in our Twitch chat, heart-wrenching. Yes, in a lot of ways, heart-wrenching. Okay.
I mean, even for me, you could tell that Foggy was a very, very deeply involved, deeply loved, and very close individual with Matt and Karen. You know, you could tell that just from the walk to the bar.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you got to remember, Foggy and Matt have been friends since law school. So they know each other. Long time. A long time.
It was funny because the thing that threw me was one thing that Foggy said as Matt was heading off to get into his Daredevil outfit to head to the apartment.
Yep.
Was, maybe I didn't want to give you a reason.
Yes. And what he meant by that, was he didn't want him to go outside of the law like he has been as Daredevil. He was trying to protect him.
Okay.
So I get it. But at the same time, if he needed the protection, Matt could have done what he needed to do.
Right. Well, and it's stupid to try and hide somebody.
Yes.
In your own apartment. I mean, yeah, they do it on NCIS all the time, but that's a little bit different. That's NCIS. This isn't a lawyer firm with a vigilante lawyer.
It's true.
You know.
It's true. So from there, all right, we get to the point of what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. And this is why I love this scene. The scene is so amazing because we do see a wonderful throwback to a paperclip and a bug. It was amazing, first of all. Absolutely amazing. And here's why. At the end of the Daredevil film, obviously, besides Wilson Fisk, the other antagonist was Bullseye. Bullseye is Daredevil's arch nemesis, like beyond compare, next to Fisk. Okay?
Yeah.
At the end
of the Superman to Kryptonite.
At the end of the Daredevil film, we see Bullseye in a body cast, and he has a fly going in around his room, and he takes like a paperclip or a needle or something, and he just kills the fly up against the wall. And you hear him say Bullseye. And that's it. It goes into the credits. This scene, we're in a dark, what would you say? It was a dark hallway, really, where a light was kind of flickering. Mm-hmm. And we see something very similar to that. And the first thing I said was, as soon as I saw that freaking thing hit the wall, I went, Bullseye! Like, that was it.
Right.
Now, mind you...
Big Tank says Bullseye is Daredevil's Penguins, while Fisk is his Joker.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a good way to describe it.
Absolutely. Want to thank Megan for liking the live on TikTok. I appreciate it. I want to say hi to everybody coming in. She's shared the live a few times, so thank you. Don't hesitate to be a part of the conversation. If you've seen Daredevil Reborn episode 1, come on in, chime in. We're just talking about it. We're kind of changing things up a little bit with this series because holy crap, it's amazing so far. At least I think it's amazing so far. Now, this whole scene, this scene paves the way for the entire season. Okay? Because not only is Matt now trying to find who is after their client, but we also see shots of the client in a mask, setting up a gun, like doing something ready for a hit. All right.
Well, and then you hear on the phone
the conversation.
I'm sorry, but we had to know where you were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those aren't good words to hear.
No, not good words at all. Especially since Matt is already on his way.
Mm-hmm.
Not too far, because really the apartment's right around the corner. So he's not far at all. But that's when Matt hears the gun getting put together.
Yep.
And he stops in his tracks and he starts going back.
And that's where he hears the line on Foggy's phone.
Then he hears the line on Foggy's phone, and that's when we hear the gun go off. And we see the bullet.
You don't hear the gun. All you hear is as it hits Foggy's chest.
Yeah, you just see the bullet like a stream and hits him. Now, the one thing Bullseye never misses. Bullseye never misses. So that's number one. Number two, he goes down, and now everybody inside the bar is flipping out because Foggy's down, and there's fire going into the building as well. And we see the masked man heading toward the bar.
My question is this.
Mm-hmm.
Because you made the comment that Bullseye never misses.
He never misses.
I think, and it's just my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I think he missed Karen. He took the shot that took out Foggy.
Yep.
Right? Foggy goes down. And a couple people start to come out of the bar. And Karen, he fires just as Karen bends over to tend to Foggy. And the guy that's coming out the door, who is directly behind Karen, gets hit. So in my opinion, he missed one shot.
So in a lot of ways,
If he was going for Karen. I don't know if he was or not.
yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah, I would probably say you're right on that one. But at the same
Just
time,
the way it appeared to me, you know.
at the same time, you still don't know who he was also looking for, because he may have been trying to get Matt Murdock too.
Right, who his main target was.
It
may have been all three of them.
Right.
You know.
So with that being said, Matt hears Foggy get hit and goes down. And you just hear him scream. And this is his best friend. This is his best friend. This is his partner. This is his brother. Because he's an only child, so is Foggy. Well, no, I think Foggy has siblings, but they're a family. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
The three of them are a family. They're three misfits that were brought together, and now Foggy's down.
As close can be without being family.
Yeah,
basically.
Which that flips a switch in Matt, and I mean big time, to the point where he gets back to Josie's bar, sees the masked man, and the two of them just start going at it.
Now, I'll tell you, we've seen it since we've started reviewing shows together.
Yep.
We've seen some hellacious fights.
We have.
We've seen some of the best fights that have ever been out there.
Yep.
This fight, in my opinion, blew every single one of those, to include the beginning fight scenes in Winter Soldier, or not Winter Soldier. Damn it.
Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Falcon I couldn't get. To include the beginning fight scene there, this fight between Daredevil and Bullseye blows that out of the water.
This was a great way to bring Daredevil back. Because not only was Bullseye killing anybody in the bar that was around, because he really was. He's a mercenary / assassin / I don't give a shit.
People total.
Yeah. So he's got no problem killing anybody.
Yeah.
Now.
And I mean, if you think about it, Daredevil ends up with at least 7 throwing daggers in his body.
Yes.
At one point, they show a close-up of him this way, and there's 3 freaking daggers sticking out of his shoulder.
Yep. All from this fight scene.
Sticking out of his back.
All from this fight scene. Now, mind you, this is only the first, 15, 20 minutes of the...
10.
Maybe 15?
First 10 minutes.
10? Yeah. This is before the intro even started.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing I will compare this to is the fight in season 1 where they chose one angle for the camera and they're fighting in a hallway. He's fighting a bunch of guys in the hallway. This is when he was all dressed in black, didn't have the suit yet. And that was a powerful fight scene to begin with. This one was paying homage to that, as well as the stairwell fight scene in season 2.
They had the stairwell in this one.
So they were going back and forth. But let me tell you, just from the flash grenades, the smoke bombs, like you name it, everything that Bullseye was pulling out.
Yeah.
It just made it a little bit easier for Daredevil to find him and fight him. Okay. But he didn't know that. And they get to the point where they're up on the roof, and like JT said, he's got now he's got like 7 daggers in him. Yep. But he heard everything, so he's turning so he's not getting too hurt. He's getting hurt, but not too hurt.
Right.
And they're finally.
What I really liked is how winded they got and how quickly they got winded.
Oh, big time. From beating the shit out of each other? Absolutely.
By the time they got to the roof, both of them could barely stand.
Right, but... But Matt was standing taller because he literally beat the living crap out of Bullseye.
He's running off the adrenaline of this is the guy that shot my best freaking friend.
Yeah. Now, at the same time...
That adrenaline high will keep you going.
And at the same time, he's still hearing Foggy's heartbeat. And it's getting faster and slower. And then it's getting to the point where, all hell's going to break loose. Well,
yeah.
Now, Big Tank says, I feel the fight scene and the end result humanized Daredevil. It did humanize Daredevil, and here's why.
Oh, big time.
Here's why. He's a vigilante. This is his best friend who just got shot, and he's beating the hell out of Bullseye to the point of, okay, I'm the devil of Hell's Kitchen. This guy just committed a crime. I got to get him so we can get him arrested. But the minute they're up on the roof and he stops hearing Foggy's heartbeat, that was like, how can I explain it?
Because when it got to that point, right, Foggy had just died.
Yes.
Matt, or Daredevil, because at this point he's Daredevil, does a small engagement where he beats the crap out of Bullseye.
Yeah.
And then he hears, he realizes that Foggy's gone.
Yep.
And he's holding him. He's holding Bullseye. And he literally, this is where he, quote unquote, crosses the line.
Well, wait a minute.
Because he literally rose the guy off the roof.
But before he does that, he lets out a scream.
Yeah.
He lets out a scream of what's the word? What's the term I'm looking for here? I'm trying to tie this to the Princess Bride. I think it was the scream that I let out when my father was killed.
I would call it a guttural scream. It came from his gut.
It did. It was the ultimate suffering. And
when he got done screaming, he was done. He had nothing left.
And but the way he just took Bullseye and just threw him off the roof.
And the thing that I didn't realize was that he landed about 6 foot away from Foggy.
Yeah.
And then, after he threw him off the roof, he just collapses.
Now, I will say this.
The adrenaline's gone and everything, and he's just, he starts to think about the fact that he lost his best friend.
Yeah.
And plus all the other, through Big Tank, he did just miss Karen.
Yep, just missed her.
But he had lost his best friend and everything, and he actually takes his helmet off.
Yes.
Up on the roof.
And throws it.
And then you hear the door open behind him.
Yep.
And it's Cappy.
It's the Cap. Yep, it's Cappy. And he questions.
Cappy,
He's like,
he comes out. He walks, I don't know, 5-6 foot out from the door.
Yep.
And just looks at Murdoch.
He knows, and now he knows the secret.
You know? And it's like, it's neat what that turns into, though.
I think what made it worse was the fact that retired police officer and a lawyer both know each other very well, that Matt kept that secret from him. That's number one.
With good reason.
For very good reason. Plausible deniability. Now, reason number two is, yes, he was working as a vigilante, so now the cops don't like vigilantes, all right? They don't. However, they accept the help of vigilantes, but that was an entire conversation that they had in the bar, because we see footage of White Tiger, and they're talking about vigilantes taking up the hard stuff and leaving the police in the dirt. So there's that I don't want to say it's a double standard, but there's that problem of vigilante and police officer, who's in the right, who's in the wrong type thing. Okay.
Right.
Which, again, that makes it to the point of what is gonna happen next.
Yeah. And that was my thoughts, like, oh shit, the cop knows who Daredevil is now. What's he gonna do?
I need to thank Meg for giving 10 gifts on TikTok. Thank you, dear. Thank you. And liking the live. We're at 2.9 thousand likes on TikTok. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it as always. Now,
but yeah, I mean, it's interesting how, you know, you look at it from both sides.
Yes.
You know, and even looking at it in Cappy's eyes, you know, he's looking at it as on a police captain's side, and he's looking at it as a person who's not a cop anymore.
Absolutely.
You know, so, you know, a lot of heartstrings pulled in a lot of different directions just in this scene.
Yeah. But that's it. That's all we see. It's just, that's the opening scene, folks.
And there's no, I think Matt turns around enough to at least know that he's there.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, he knows.
He looks to see who it is, but he knows that somebody is there.
Yeah, he knows.
But at that point, he's so distraught he doesn't care.
Yep, he doesn't care because he knows Foggy's already dead. You know,
yeah, he took his hat off and revealed his identity, you know, to anybody who just so happened to be around to see him.
Now,
so, you know, obviously, you could tell that he is extremely distraught.
And here's the thing. We just did almost 40 minutes on just the opening scene. But again, this is just going to pave the way for the rest of the season. And we're not even going into the full details of things.
Right.
Because a year later, which is after the credits, after the intro credits, which I loved, by the way. They changed the intro credits for Daredevil where it matched Kingpin and Daredevil, but in stone, which I thought was amazing because the previous one was blood and statues and Lady Justice and all that. Thought it was amazing the way they tied it and changed it. But a year later, we're now at the sentencing of Bullseye. We meet up with Karen again. She apparently moved to San Francisco.
Yeah. Which she moved. That's how damaging this whole thing was.
Yeah. It was big time.
She moved from New York
to San Francisco.
Across to the other side of the country.
Yeah.
To San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. Now, the other thing we see, we see Matt getting ready. He's got his own firm now. He's a partner with another firm. A little bit more established, you know. He's dropped the whole Daredevil thing. Done.
Yep.
He's done. It got Foggy killed, and now he's done. You know, He walked away, which is great. Now, we also see a new character, kind of a new character. We see Ben Urich's niece, BB Urich, doing the BB Beat, which is kind of like news on TikTok or YouTube or anything like that. She's an investigative journalist asking questions about vigilantes. So we see some really cool segments of her. We don't really see her in person yet. We just hear her. She's behind the scenes. Nothing overly huge, you know?
You just hear her voice.
Just hear the voice, but she's interviewing people on the street about what's happening. How do you feel about vigilantes, Bullseye, everything that's going on for the coverage of this? And
one lady says, it's been a year. We need him back.
Yeah, how's Daredevil? What do you think of White Tiger? White Tiger basically took up the mantle after Daredevil disappeared. We don't know much, but we know he's there. Now, while that's happening, obviously Matt and Karen are having their little spout in the court afterward, because she feels that she doesn't want to get things sparked back up, because listen, she had feelings for him, he had feelings for her. They never really acted on them after Daredevil.
They were firmly entrenched in the friend zone.
Yes, the friend zone.
This was a small part of the conversation in the bar.
The friend zone.
You can't violate the friend zone rule,
The kind of friend zone.
I hated that zone.
Now, I really did. The friend zone sucks, okay? Simple as that. The friend zone sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're going on, you can see that Bullseye, or Mr. Poindexter, because that is actually his name, Poindexter, he obviously shows no remorse because he's an assassin.
Yeah.
He's an assassin. I get it. I really
liked Matt's comments, though.
Yep. About Foggy.
Yeah. Well, no, about justice.
Yes.
When he's sitting on the stand, because this was victim statements.
Yes, the victim statements.
Before punishment is revealed, assigned, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I really like what he said, because if you think about it, it applies to a lot.
It does.
It applies to modern day a lot. Where, yes, justice is being served, but true justice isn't.
True.
It was very, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but the way he said it was beautiful.
It really was. Now, the other thing is with Bullseye. Bullseye was, in fact, in the Netflix series of Daredevil. Okay?
Okay.
And let's face it, he's crazy. We know he's crazy.
He's a little bit homicidal, yeah.
Former FBI. But at one point, he actually saved Wilson Fisk's life because he was part of a federal escort. Spine got damaged, had a surgical procedure. This is why he didn't die after getting thrown off the frickin' roof and landing flat on his face.
Plus the fact it was really only a 2-story building.
Yeah, well, 2 or 3.
Three
yeah,
at most.
I think it was a 3-story building, because Hell's Kitchen really doesn't have a lot of big buildings. But even with that, he's, 1, crazy, 2, has no remorse, and was sentenced to life for each of the victims that he had, including Foggy.
11 life sentences to be served consecutively.
Yep. And believe me, that pissed Matt Murdock off even more.
Well, it was interesting because when the judge read the sentence, they flashed to Matt Murdock in the audience and a couple rows behind him because he heard Karen come in.
Yep.
She's sitting in the back.
Yeah.
And you see Karen's reaction is kind of one of relief.
Yes.
It's finally over. The guy that killed my best friend is now going to be in jail for the rest of his life.
Yep.
So to me, it looked like it was kind of relief for her. But then you saw the total polar opposite reaction from Murdoch.
Yes. He was very emotional. And
he wasn't very happy about it.
You know, as that's progressing, though, and I know we kind of have to skip a few things. From the sentencing to everything else, we see him a part of the law firm. And then we also see that Wilson Fisk is back in town. Not only do we see that he's back in town, but we also see that, number one, he's not fat.
No. Yeah, it's slimmed down big time.
Which we'll get into. Okay.
He's about half the size of what he was at the end of Echo.
Yes, very much so. So, this is where Echo comes into play. Because at the end of Echo, everybody is running for mayor of New York City. And even at the end of Echo, he said, you know, maybe I could do that. But we see him get into a nice suit, but he's not wearing his signature white suit. He's wearing a dark suit, like a gray suit.
Light gray.
And that's when he goes to the meeting of the minds for the empire that his wife took over while he was gone. Now, when it comes to this part, yes, it's relevant. But at the same time, she's trying to make the business as legitimate as possible so there are no tiebacks to Wilson.
Right.
No tiebacks whatsoever. Okay?
Because of what he wants to do.
Because of what he wants to do. And he even said that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want anything.
I loved her statement though.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk into the meeting of the five families
mm-hmm.
and clear the room by just standing in the doorway.
Yep.
So that goes. Just standing in the doorway, like
that goes to show you how scared of him they are.
Mm-hmm.
He is the kingpin of crime.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, that's when they decide to announce publicly that he's going to run for mayor. And that shocks the hell out of Murdoch because he's hearing this and going, oh, crap, he's back. To the point where the next day he's in the office and he tells Cappy, who is now their lead investigator, who's their lead investigator now, to do as much digging on Fisk as possible. And even Cappy's no. Are you sure about this? Because I don't know.
No, he did the opposite. He got the information from Cappy that Cappy had gotten, had found before he met him, or before he met up with Murdoch.
Yeah.
And then he asked him, what do you want me to do? You want me to keep digging?
Do you want me to dig more?
Matt told him no. He says, let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. Just let it go. And then he did the flip-floppy thing for a second.
He really
there,
did.
Like, let it go. Well, no, maybe. No, just let it go.
He really did. It was kind of like a kid in a toy store. I want this toy, but I want that toy. Do I get this one because it's bigger? Or, I get it.
Or a dog in the dog snack aisle at the pet store. Which one do I want? Which one do I want?
But then
I got a laugh out of that.
You know, it was funny.
A little.
It really was.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, while this is all going on, we see segments here and there of Fisk and his announcement for mayor. And we see the news reports are doing polls and all this about all the other mayors. And the first thing he mentions was vigilantes. That if he became mayor, he was going to fix the vigilante problem.
Yeah. He was talking about, well, actually, they were at the debate.
Yes. They showed the debate.
And he says something along the lines of, he's talking to the mayor. He says, you want to have vigilantes register.
Yes. Well, that I think was a tie to the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah.
Because they wanted vigilantes to register so they wouldn't get in trouble. But again, that's something, Captain America didn't want. They didn't want anything to do with the Soviet Accords. Could I see New York doing that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Fisk was like, that I can't remember what the comparison was, but he made it a very apt comparison.
Yes.
To having them register. He's like, I want to restore the New York Police Department to the old glory that it was.
Yes.
To where we don't need vigilantes.
Yeah.
And if you are a vigilante and you cross the line, you will face consequences as well.
Absolutely.
And that was his big.
Because
he's going to restore New York, and he's going to get rid of the vigilantes, and he's going to take care of the crime.
And for him, that was a smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you just won over the police.
Right.
To an extent. but we'll get into that in episode 2.
Right. Well, because there's a part in there where BB is after he announces and they're doing the the mayor debate and everything else, and BB's out on the street again asking, what do you think about Fisk running for mayor?
Mm-hmm.
And there was one lady who goes, remember, he crushed a man's skull with his hands, supposedly.
Yes. Allegedly.
I'm like,
now,
nice.
I will say this. He did.
Yes, he did.
He smashed someone's skull in with a car door in season 1.
In our very first introduction to him, where he adopted or met Echo.
Yep.
I remember that.
The ice cream guy.
I remember that.
Big Tank says, was that when he referenced to Manny Hall? Yes. That's was it to Manny Hall that he referenced? I think it was. Yeah, I think that's when he either that or it was in episode 2. But there's reference to to that in both episodes. Probably not as detailed. Now, the other thing is, after seeing all of this and hearing all of this, because we have to say hearing when it comes to Matt Murdock, he decides to do his thing, his vigilante thing of meeting up with Wilson Fisk. And I love how they did this.
Very interesting confrontation.
Very, very interesting confrontation where he flat out said, first, all his security is like, no, hold it, you can't go. And he's like, it's fine. Let him come. And I went, oh, Matt's there.
They're actually holding the crowd back while Fisk is talking.
Yeah. So while that's happening, and we get to the point of Matt and Wilson being eye to eye, nose to nose with each other, and all Matt said is, I just want a moment of your time if you've got time. Yeah. Very calmly.
Basically, can we talk?
Yeah. Can we talk? Do you got time?
Yes. We did kind of, actually, we didn't, we skipped right over this, but Big Tank says that Mr. Matt now has a new hottie to worry about.
Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Because that ties into episode 2 more than episode 1. So trust me, we'll get into that. Again, this is, we're not doing a full scene for scene breakdown. It would take us way too long. We're already at 9 o'clock, and we're kind of picking out.
We're almost done.
Yeah,
we're almost done. We don't have too much more to go.
No,
I love the meeting though.
The meeting I felt like, was very
like, can we
important.
Talk? And Fisk is like, yeah, okay.
And I feel it was really important because, again, the first fight scene opened up the way the season is gonna be. This scene, the sit down scene, because this is the end of the actual episode,
right?
Paves the way of what doors it's gonna open for the season.
Yeah.
We've already seen segments of White Tiger. We've seen BB and her report. We've seen Foggy being killed. We've seen Bullseye in the play, which is the same Bullseye from the first 2 seasons. So
we've seen the loss, Matt's loss of his second closest friend, with Karen moving to San Francisco, and confronting her about it. One thing real quick about that conversation that they had there at the courthouse. I love what she did, because she reached into her purse. She said she found it somewhere, or she found it at Josie's.
Yes.
One of Daredevil's horns.
Yes. From the mask.
And she gave that back from the night when everything happened, and she gave that back to him.
Now, the other thing with this, and I wanna stick to this conversation because I have a theory afterward.
It was a very interesting conversation.
This was 2 enemies meeting for parlay.
Yeah, and they've both supposedly completely changed
since
the last time they met.
Well, they have, because Matt gave up being Daredevil. All right.
Yep.
And Wilson got shot in the face. And even Matt they're sitting down having coffee together.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that in itself is amazing.
And Murdoch flat out says, "You look different. You seem to have lost some weight, possibly gained some muscle.
You walk lighter.
And I went, "Oh, that's a good way to get rid of the bodysuit that Vincent D'Onofrio had to wear."
There you go. That was a hell of a line, though. I mean, so much in such a simple line.
Yeah. But if you think about it, it was perfect. It was perfect the way they did that.
Yeah.
And then they're just having small talk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on?
Well, they kind of review for each other what's happened since the last time they saw each other.
Getting shot in the face.
And they talk about, you got shot in the face. I lost, my best friend was killed. This, that, and the other thing. But then they get to the vigilante conversation.
Yeah.
But before we do that, there was one line that he says about in the middle of the conversation where he goes, if you cross, and this is Murdoch to Fisk.
Yes.
Where if you cross the line, I will be all over you.
Yep.
So there was his shot over the bow to Fisk.
But Fisk responded in kind and said the same exact thing. And he even threw it out there of, you will be tried
Yeah, you will
in the court of law.
You will face the consequences.
You will face the consequences if you.
Big Tank says, by the way, the diner they met in is in Astoria, Queens.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is why I love when they film on location where they're supposed to be, because it's amazing. Okay.
Well, and so they both put the warning shot across the bow to each other.
Oh, big time. Like, don't step on the crack. Don't step on the crack, or you're going to suffer the consequences of what I can dish out.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved Matt's reaction with just a smile and said, at least we know where we both stand.
Yep.
And he stood up and he walked out.
Yep.
And that's when Fisk, just sitting there by himself, just tapped on the table 3 times. Pay attention to that tap on the table. We may...
That was one thing I've noticed with him that he wasn't before.
Which was?
He got shot in the face. Because, again, we do have to emphasize the fact that he got shot in the face.
He did. He got shot in the face.
I don't know why I concentrate on that so much. But to me, that's huge. But that's the one difference, other than the fact that he lost all the weight and all that good stuff.
Yep.
The biggest difference that I see in him is the hands. He's got nervous hands.
He does.
His hands are always moving.
So that's because of what he can do with his hands.
Yeah.
He's got super strength.
He didn't have the nervous hands before that.
Yes. He did, especially in the first season. You can see it. So
but
again,
it's not as prevalent now.
No,
it wasn't as prevalent like back in Echo.
Yeah, no, definitely
the
not.
Nervous hands. I never really noticed the nervous. If it was, I never noticed it until now.
So the other thing that you have to realize about Fisk and Daredevil, they know what each other can do to each other.
Oh yeah, well, intimately.
Now, Daredevil doesn't scare Fisk. Fisk doesn't scare Daredevil. But Daredevil, there kind of is that line of respect between the two of them.
Yeah, very healthy line of respect between the both of them.
It's kind of weird, but there is that, I know what you can do, you know what I can do, go ahead, push the limit, and see what else I can do. So now we're taking it up a notch.
Well, and there's one other line during the conversation that really stuck out to me, and they actually had it in the teasers for it.
Yep.
Was, I don't know why, but I feel like you're gaming the system.
Oh, he certainly is.
You know, there's no doubt he's gaming the system, because that's why he had everything set up to where there was no way to trace anything back to him.
Wait until you see episode 2.
But, well, and that's what I'm saying is, you know, that line, there's like 3 lines in there. There was the warning, the warning shot from Murdoch to Fisk. There was the warning shot from Fisk to Murdoch. And then there was...
They had it all.
I don't know why, or... I have the feeling that you're gaming the system. That was the 3rd big line that stuck out in that conversation. Yep. This was a good 5-minute conversation that they had.
At least.
You know, and it was very drinking coffee.
It was very subtle. You know, it wasn't one of those conversations of, I'm just going to kick your ass. You know?
Right.
That's not how it's going to work.
Both, you know, basically it's okay. I'm going to let you run with the character that you're portraying yourself as now.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to be watching you. I'm going to watch your every
Got
move.
my eye on you.
You know? So, like, and that's why I say, you know, they both gave each other the warning shot over the bow.
Yeah. And
because now after this, it's on.
Yeah. Oh, it's on all right.
And then, of course, we have the developing love interest, shall we call it?
Which we will get into next episode.
Trust me. We're gonna skip that one for now.
For now, we're gonna go back to it, and we're gonna add to it because, don't get me wrong, I felt it was very important for episode 1 to at least introduce that character. But there's more to it in episode 2.
Gotcha.
And there's a reason behind it as well, because
it was interesting to say the least.
It was, and this is why I say, you know, we should really wait.
Okay.
Just
we
because
we can tease it with, you know, there seems to be a love interest developing here with Murdoch.
Yes.
You know, that, and it's funny because both of them say that the lady that set him up crossed the line doing it.
Yes, but again, we will absolutely touch up on it.
Right.
Starting with next week's episode. That is how we will start the podcast for next week, is the love interest, what happened, and what happens in episode 2, because it is tied greatly to it.
Okay.
And I mean,
so what are we going to use for rating for, are we going to use Daredevil horn?
No, Billy Clubs.
Billy Clubs, okay.
Daredevil's Billy Club, also known as Kane.
Gotcha. And you were odds for last round, so I'm odds for this round.
Sure.
So, we mentioned this at the beginning. It was a slow episode.
It was a slow episode, yes.
But it didn't feel like a slow episode.
No, it did not.
You know, they put a whole lot of shit.
Yes.
In this episode. Said a lot of great, and that's the thing. When the episode ended, I looked at Kay and I went, "Boy, they're setting that up, aren't they?"
Maybe just a little,
because they really drilled down into what's gonna, you know, the openings that are coming in for episodes to come.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the episode for everything that they had to do and the information that they had to get in a short amount of time. Granted, this was a 1 hour episode.
Yes.
They fit 3 hours worth of information into it.
And that's tough. Want to say hi to Katie on TikTok. Hello. How are you? Saying hi from Texas. Hello.
But I'm looking forward to episode 2, and you know, and as people who watch normally, I don't watch the episodes ahead of time. You know, I watch them the weekend before and then rewatch on Mondays.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to episode 2.
It's gonna be awesome.
I'm going to go with a 3.5 with the possibility of moving it up to a 4.
Oh, how would you get it to move up to a 4?
It depends on what happens in the episode 2.
Oh, just you wait.
Well, and I will actually be even more specific. It depends on what happens in episode 2 with the love interest.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
So 3.5, possibility of going up to a 4. Let's call it a 3.75. We'll just go there.
All right.
We'll go 3 3/4 Billy Clubs. Great episode. Loved all the information that they put into this, to where if you
a lot of stuff
didn't watch the, you know, Echo, and you didn't watch the other stuff in the 3 episodes off of or the 3 seasons off of Netflix and everything else.
Yeah.
You still had a good idea of what was going on.
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
weren't completely lost.
No.
So there you go. 3 3/4 for me.
All right. 3 3/4 with an asterisk once we go over the love interest stuff.
Right.
Gotcha. So next week could change.
But not by much.
Not by much. It'll only go up to a 4. And that's fine. So for me, as someone who's watched the previous 3 seasons,
right,
I know what happens in episode 2 because I've already watched it. But
I want to hear about it.
No, not gonna say a word. Not gonna say a word. With everything that they've been going. Again, the episode did start off slow, but that beginning fight scene was phenomenal. It was shocking that they killed off Foggy right there within the first 10 minutes of the freaking show. Was not expecting that. Not expecting it at all. And even Eldon Henson, who plays Foggy, he's like, that wasn't my idea. But he is signed on for season 2, so we'll see what happens. Maybe flashbacks or...
That's the one thing that's going to hang with me from episode 1.
Yep.
Is his eyes.
Yes. His eyes.
His eyes were freaking terrifying.
They were. They were.
Go ahead.
So, with the pacing and the reasoning they did it, and this is the only reason why we're skipping the love interest, because honestly, we don't need the love interest story at this time. We're going to put it with season 2. Again, we're not doing breaking down each scene. Clearly, we didn't do that. We chose the more important parts that needed to be there. Yes, you need to know about the love interest. Yes, she has a big role. Trust me, she's got a big role in the comics too. Just, you'll be fine. I promise.
So what is your rating? You haven't given your actual rating.
My rating for this episode is actually, in fact, a 4. Okay? It probably would have been higher if we saw a little bit more of Bullseye, but I understand why they did it right now, because I'm sure he's going to come into play later on.
Something tells me life in prison isn't going to work.
Do you really think he's going to be in prison for life? Yeah.
No. I don't think he's going to be in prison for a month personally, but that's just me.
Agreed. Agreed. We will see more characters pop up. We will see White Tiger, and that's a whole nother thing. Whoa, that I missed some things apparently, but we'll get into that next episode as well, because it's absolutely amazing some of the stuff that I found out tied to what's going on in the MCU. However, 4 Daredevil Billy clubs for me for this episode.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked the writing. I liked the way it was. The pacing was great. I can't wait to see what happens in the next few episodes. But it's going to be awesome either way. It really is, in my opinion.
I think
so. With that being said, that ends this week's Avenger Pretenders. We will be back next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern to go over episode 2. Again, we're going to be a week behind, okay? It happens.
That's okay.
Yeah, when they release 2 hours at the same time, it's like, crap. And it's going to throw everything off anyway.
We're doing the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you could do a half hour of Daredevil. No. It wouldn't work as just a half hour. You got to do an hour.
No, I'm saying they release them on the nights that we're doing the Sully Show. So.
Also true. Want to say hi to Tracy, who just gave us some wonderful gifts as well as liking the live. Thank you, darling. Miss you. Hope you enjoyed the live on Saturday. And I want to say hi to that guy, Bob, who just came in as well. We're just ending the stream today. So, hello. We were talking about Daredevil Born Again, so if you're a geek like us, yay. We talked about episode 1. Next week, we'll be talking about episode 2. The love interest that was introduced in episode 1 and gearing up for everything that's happening in episode 2, because it's pivotal that you need to know about her and the partner in the law firm at the same time. So we'll get into that. Trust me, there's a reason I'm doing it the way we are. Tomorrow, the Sully Show will be live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You might want to tune in because we're going to have a lot. I will give you a little...
hit the fan from the very beginning.
I will give you a hint There's some funny stuff we're going to talk about right away, but there's also something a little serious that we're going to talk about as well. That's probably not on the prep sheet, but it's there. That guy Bob says, I usually try to catch you when I'm on the toilet. Hey, listen, it's okay. You watch us wherever you want to watch us from. The toilet, the library, the car, safely.
If he's anything like me, he's on the toilet for at least a half an hour. So
give or take, till his legs and feet go numb anyway.
Yeah, till the leg goes to sleep or something. Yeah.
But I will give you a slight little tidbit of one of the topics of discussion tomorrow, because JT and I talked about it a little bit before the show tonight, is we will be mentioning a certain person from years ago that decided to rear her ugly head over the last week. Yeah. So you might want to keep it locked in for us tomorrow at 8 p.m. right here on Accidental Punch TV. So for the redneck, there he is with his periodic table of Marvel shirt. I am the geek, Sully. We will see you all tomorrow for the Sully Show and next week for Avenger Pretenders. And just remember, Thanos was right.